Welcome back to the Explainer. I am honestly so thrilled you're tuning in today because we are looking at a text that, well, it's going to fundamentally change how you approach your day-to-day work. We're unpacking the architecture of consistency, systematic paths to success. Okay, let's just dive right in. What the author lays out here is this highly logical, almost scientific approach to getting predictable results. If you've ever felt like you're just constantly working, constantly hustling, but you're not actually seeing those compounding results you want, yeah, this explainer is exactly for you.
So let's start with a question we all struggle with, right? Why do we abandon strategies before they actually work? I mean, think about it. You start a new initiative, you map out this great plan, and then maybe 2-3 weeks in, you pivot, you start tweaking things. Next thing you know, you throw the whole thing out and start over from scratch. We all have this deep-seated urge to constantly shift gears the very second we feel a little bit restless. But as we're going to see today, that exact instinct is literally what's killing our progress.
Because the crucial point the text makes is this: success comes from repetition, not randomness. And honestly, this is the core thesis of our whole explainer today, and it requires a massive mindset shift. We've basically been conditioned to equate new with better. We think a new strategy or some new software tool or the newest social platform is going to be the magic bullet. But the source text argues the complete opposite. It's not the new shiny thing that brings success. It's the disciplined, structured repetition of the exact same core activities.
All right, moving into section 1, the trap of randomness, and how all those strategy changes are actually betraying us.
Tell me if any of this sounds a little too familiar. You're building new landing pages every single month. You're sending out completely different types of emails to your list. Maybe you're working completely random hours, or constantly jumping from one marketing idea to the next. It's kind of like a chef trying to bake a cake, but they just keep throwing in a random new ingredient every 5 minutes to see what happens. This is classic shiny object syndrome. And hey, we've all been there. You feel incredibly busy doing all of these things. It feels like hustle. It feels like you're putting in the work. But the text warns us that this constant change makes it absolutely impossible to know what actually moved the needle. It's just an illusion of progress.
And the true culprit behind all that randomness? It isn't that your first strategy was bad. It's boredom. The text specifically calls out boredom as the primary reason people constantly jump to new ideas. We just get tired of doing the same thing day in and day out, so we change it up just to feel a spark of something new. But by doing that, we totally destroy our ability to measure our results. Boredom, quite literally, is the enemy of measurable progress here.
So you have to ask yourself, are you running a guessing game or are you running a measurable system? Because when you rely on constant change, you are absolutely guessing. Sure, you might have a great month, but you have zero idea why it happened, so you can't replicate it anyway. But when you establish a regular schedule and you execute the same activities in the same order, you totally transform your business. You suddenly get a crystal clear picture of what is actually driving your success.
Which brings us to section 2, consistency reveals your weaknesses and exposes those really obvious mistakes.
I absolutely love this quote from the text. It says, "When your routine stays the same, mistakes become obvious." Think back to like middle school science class for a second. If you want to know if a specific fertilizer makes a plant grow faster, you don't also change the amount of water and the sunlight and the type of soil all at the exact same time, right? You control the variables. Well, business is the exact same way. When your routine is completely locked in, the things that aren't working simply have nowhere to hide.
Let's look at the practical power of that consistency. The text points out that if your conversions suddenly fall off a cliff, but you have a consistent system in place, you know exactly where to investigate. Why? Because everything else stayed the same. You removed all those unnecessary variables. If you sent the exact same type of email at the exact same time to the exact same list, but the subject line was different, boom. You know for sure the subject line was the weakness. Making improvements becomes incredibly easy when you aren't just drowning in random variables.
Let's move to section 3, stop chasing, start improving.
I want you to really self-reflect on which mindset you're holding right now. Are you chasing new? Meaning, are you abandoning your strategies right before they actually produce results just because you got bored? Or are you improving proven? Do you have the discipline to look at an idea that's already showing a little bit of traction and carefully refine it? It's kind of like panning for gold. You don't throw away a real nugget just because it needs a little polishing. That endless search for a better idea is a total trap. The real discipline is in improving the one that is already sitting right in front of you.
And here is a totally foundational rule from the text. Small improvements to a proven system usually outperform constantly starting over.
The goal of your business isn't to have endless variety just to keep yourself entertained, right? The goal is to discover what actually works and then strip away the rest. Starting over resets your momentum back to zero every single time. Small improvements, on the other hand, they compound.
All right, into our final section, Section 4, build a repeatable system for predictable growth.
The source text lays out this incredibly practical 5-step application. Step 1. Create a daily schedule and work on your business at the exact same time each day. Step 2. Follow one process consistently before you make any major changes. Just let it run its course. Step 3. Track your results so you know exactly what is happening under the hood. Step 4. Actively eliminate activities that consistently produce poor results. And finally, Step 5. Once you find a profitable process, you repeat it over and over until it is literally second nature. These 5 steps systematically weed out the garbage and lock in the profit.
Executing those 5 steps, doing the somewhat boring, repeatable work, is what shifts you entirely away from unpredictable luck. Your business should operate like a well-oiled machine, not just a grab bag of random activities. When you operate randomly, you simply can't scale your luck. But measured, repeated systems, that is what generates predictable growth. You actually get to control the levers of your success.
And let's be super clear about what repetition actually means here. It is not just mindlessly doing the exact same thing like a robot. Every repeated action is actively giving you an asset. It gives you more data to analyze, it gives you more hands-on experience in executing the task, and it gives you more targeted opportunities to make those tiny, compounding improvements we talked about earlier. Repetition is literally how you gather the tools you need for ultimate optimization.
I want to leave you with this absolute powerhouse of a quote from the bottom line of our source text: consistency is what transforms effort into progress. Because you can put in all the effort in the world, but if it's scattered in 100 different directions, you're really just spinning your wheels. Success doesn't come from constantly changing direction. It comes from finding what works, ruthlessly removing what doesn't, and repeating that winning process until it is absolutely reliable.
So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want you to really answer this for yourself. What winning process are you going to repeat today? Stop chasing the shiny objects. Stop letting boredom dictate your strategy. Find the one thing that actually shows promise, control your variables, and fully commit to the repetition. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this one, and I challenge you to go build your measurable system today. See you next time.